I just watched the new Fantastic Four movie and I'm here to tell you whether it's actually any good and share some thoughts. The first half of this video is spoiler free, but the second half will have spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, save this video and come back to it after you do. Right off the bat, this was a very strange and unusual movie. It honestly didn't feel like an MCU film at all. Instead, it felt more like one of those cozy Christmas family movies, but with superheroes. Think The Incredibles, with a strong focus on family dynamics and way less on the typical superhero action. And you know what? I actually really liked this shift. It was a breath of fresh air from the usual Marvel formula, which started to feel a little bit boring at this point. Speaking of the family theme, it is heavy. About halfway through, I legit thought I was watching a Fast and Furious movie. I was just waiting for Dom Toretto to show up at Sunday dinners because they mentioned the word family so much, like a lot. But while the emotional beats really worked, let's talk about something that didn't quite land. The action. There were maybe 2 or 2.5 of action sequences. And for a movie that's supposed to introduce the Fantastic Four, that's really underwhelming. I wanted to see more of their powers in action, more moments that really showcased what makes their team unique. And honestly, I think a lot of these scenes may have been cut. If you rewatch some of the first teasers we got for this movie, you'll notice some clips and even an entire villain that didn't make it into the final film. So that might explain it. Now, staying on the topic of powers, let's talk about Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic. Out of all the actors, his abilities felt the most underused. Everyone else had their moments, but Reed, he pretty much just stretched his limbs a few times. That's it. The guy can literally reshape into anything. They could have had fun with it, but instead, it kind of felt just bare bones. No teapot, no weird morphing, just arms and legs stretching. They definitely missed an opportunity to do something really big. That being said, despite the lack of action and the underwhelming use of Reed's powers, the movie as a whole was still a really good time, and I'd give it an 8 or an 8.5 out of 10. It was different, refreshing, and definitely worth checking out, especially if you're tired of this typical superhero rinse and repeat formula. Alright, spoiler time. So if you haven't watched the movie yet, hit pause now and come back once you've watched it. Let's start with something that hit surprisingly hard. Herbie's death. Yes, you heard it right. When Galactus crushed him, I genuinely thought it was over for my favorite little clanker. I was so sad, I'm not gonna lie. But thankfully, Reed brought him back at the end, which was a really huge relief. That brings me to another big wait what moment. Reed letting Sue go to space while being pregnant. Like, really? They were so cautious about protecting the baby from any genetic alteration. But then they let her fly into space. Zero gravity, low oxygen, cosmic radiation, and Galactus. It's kinda wild that Reed wasn't smart enough to see that this was a bad idea. Even I saw it. Now let's talk about Galactus. So at the end, he gets pushed into a portal. But where did he go? Did he stay in the same multiverse? Or did he get warped into a completely new universe? We don't know yet. But I really do hope he comes back. Galactus has serious potential to be the next Thanos level villain. And it would be really a waste if this is all we see of him. Also, not to nitpick, but can we talk about the red tape? Like, they literally marked the portal trap with red tape. You think Reed, being one of the smartest minds in the multiverse, would have hidden it better. But it was just there for Galactus to see, and ultimately for him to avoid. But to switch gears to something positive, the space sequence. Absolutely stunning. The visuals of the black hole, Galactus floating in the void, all of it looked incredible, especially in IMAX 3D. It genuinely reminded me of Interstellar. You've got the black hole slingshot, the docking sequence. It all felt like a tribute to Nolan's film. And for someone who missed seeing Interstellar in theaters because I was just so young, this felt like the next best thing. And before we wrap up, there's one last thing I wanted to mention. A cool little Easter egg that sets up Avengers Doomsday. So in the post-credit scene, Doom shows up and talks to Franklin. But earlier in the movie, there's actually a tiny mention of him. During the World Conference Sue leads, there's a country listed as Latvia with no representative. That's Doom's home country. So I'm betting the Doom we see in Avengers Doomsday is gonna be from Earth 828, the same Earth as the Fantastic Four. And that's it for this one. So if you enjoyed this fantastic video, hit like and subscribe and let me know your thoughts on this movie in the comments, and I'll catch you on the next video.